Welcome to Wickedshizuku's Reviews, bringing you a southern perspective on books, movies, music, and much, much more. Stick around for a while, you just might hear something wicked. Oh, hello and welcome back. It is episode 11, Thoughts on News. And this pretty much had to be a part 2 from episode 10 because of the enormous shitstorm that the next 7 clips include. And they're also longer, so I just wanted to break this up and just make it a whole new episode. So enjoy, everyone. You're getting a 2-for-1. And we're going to get a different screen. Okay, here we go. Continuing. Sorry for that. Here we go. Continuing on with going back. And this is going to span through with a Facts Matter with Roman Belmakov or something like that. Another Fox Business clip, Drew Barrymore's uncomfortable apology, something. Adam Carolla clip popped up on my algorithm. Timcast, something's going on in Texas. Friends in Texas, be safe there. Okay, and there's also Trisha Hagen. Haven't caught her update in quite a while. So, and we'll conclude with facts on cats. Getting on to it.
Is in trouble. Now, here's something. I want to read this from the BBC. From the BBC, Russell Brand resurfaced clips give a sobering reminder of naughties culture. The naughties are the knots, you know, as in the 00s of the early century, the early part of the 00s, the naughties. We're being very naughty right now. From BBC. The naughties aren't so long ago that it's possible to dismiss them as a different age, but there are parts of the decade that British culture would rather forget. Russell Brand was at the center of a messy celebrity scene in the 2000s that now feels like a cool Britannia party gone sour. The recent allegations against the comedian and resurfaced clips of things he said and did on the air and on stage have provided a sobering reminder of the seedier side of pop and media culture in that decade. Okay. All right, everyone. Russell Brand is kind of like their Howard Stern. Okay, you know exactly what you were getting in those days with Russell Brand. Okay, just think Howard Stern. Now, it's provided a sobering reminder of the seedier side of pop media culture in that decade. Could I just ask the BBC to turn on the radio and listen to the lyrics of songs they're now playing? Because I guarantee there's something playing on the BBC about somebody's butt doing something. Among the claims, now listen to this. Resurfaced clips is what this is all about. Among the claims in Channel 4's recent dispatched investigation into the star, there was a clip from his BBC Radio 2 show in 2007 that seemed to have gone largely unnoticed at the time. In it, Brand interviewed Jimmy Savile. Now, Jimmy Savile was a big radio host.
Did he now?
Top of the Pops. Top of the Pops. Everybody loved Jimmy Savile. They found out that he's a child predator and was molesting kids in the hospital while he was visiting. But nobody knows this at the time. Among claims in Channel 4's recent dispatches shows him on BBC in 2007. In it, Brand interviewed Jimmy Savile and apparently offered up his very attractive assistant to go meet him naked. Sound like Howard Stern? Right. Okay, this is in 2007. He said this to the BBC host of Top of the Pops. Another BBC host said, hey, you go ahead and take my assistant here. She'll get naked. Oh, funny. He said, naughty word. Naughty, get it? Okay. When did they expose, so to speak, Jimmy Savile being a child predator? When was that, Sue? 2012? 2012. So something that went unnoticed in 2007 because no one knew about no one knew about it.
Another 5 years
from before Savile had been exposed as a serial sexual predator. It's scarcely believed now that it was broadcast on Britain's biggest radio station. You know, wait a minute, hang on just a second. Not that Russell Brand said that. That's not really the problem with BBC. The problem is you hired that guy and held him up at.
Not that anybody actually cares, right? They didn't give a shit to say anything then. Why are they saying anything now? Judgmental shits.
As a hero for decades on the BBC. So in several clips, a brand pushing the line between outrageous and offensive stuff that were used in a Channel 4 documentary on Saturday. They're doing an expose on what they aired 20 years ago and making Russell Brand into the bad guy. You aired it. You aired it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Westwood One coming in and saying,
y'all gonna start doing that with freaking Neil Oliver next? Y'all gonna come up with some allegations against Love Neil Oliver? The very charming archaeologist? That would be very unfair of you, BBC. I'm very disappointed.
tell you something. I want to show you some videotape of what Howard Stern was doing. Yeah, because you were paying him to do it. How's that a problem for him and not you? I don't know. It's crazy. And they actually are sort of doing that to Stern now, right? Like, there's definitely people who are out there looking for... Look, you spent 5 minutes and you could find it. You know, actually, just over the September 11th anniversary, happened to stumble upon this Howard Stern show from September 11th. Wow! It is a different era. The difference in as that's going on, they're watching planes hit the buildings in real time. And it's a fascinating thing to watch it from a historical perspective. But the anger on the show and the way they were talking, the words they were saying, the things that came out of their mouths, it was were they singing songs about doing things with people's butts? They were not. Okay, well, they were doing that right before the second.
Okay,
right before planes actually hit the buildings. But it was interesting to just hear Robin Quivers in particular, like, was ready to nuke the entire Middle East. It was pretty interesting to watch. But like, they're going back to go back and watch those shows. Look, it was a different time. You're going to judge these by today's standards. That's always dumb. It's always dumb to go back to a previous era and judge it by today's standards. It's always dumb to do that. And it does seem to be what everyone wants to do.
Well, I just can't take the employer doing a documentary on how outrageous he was and how he should be stoned to death. At the time, they were paying him to do those things. I mean, that takes quite the balls.
Well, and the BBC in particular is, in the Russell Brand situation, is specifically accused. Like, they are like, they were saying they were helping along. Yeah, that's the accusation.
Yeah,
they
so
were
bringing somebody to do a
sending
documentary on BBC.
Right, like they were sending cars to pick up the girls that were 16 years old for Russell Brand.
Which, by the way, was not illegal at the time.
I don't
It
think
sounds horrible, but it wasn't illegal at the time.
And no one's saying that it was illegal.
Right.
But not necessarily the best.
Now, why is this all happening to him? Why?
The good question. I think there's a very obvious answer to it.
Go ahead.
When he was famous and married to Katy Perry and doing all this.
Well, I would also say that it has something to do with those 6.4 million waking wonders out there. Eh? Keep shining bright, everyone.
There was no news of these accusations. He was known as a bad guy, right? Like a very promiscuous guy. He was on telling. He wrote a book about he was addicted to drugs, he was addicted to alcohol,
and he's changed all of that.
He says he's changed all of that, and has become a commentator who has been skeptical of some of the things you're not allowed to be skeptical of, like COVID, climate change, ESG standards.
Yeah, the World Economic Forum is his biggest thing.
And now he's being
targeted.
Now, look, I think you of course would agree that if he committed horrible crimes against people, he should be punished for them.
Yes.
Even if he has reformed his character, he's still held responsible for crimes.
Yes.
But this does not seem to be what's.
We have a hard time in this culture where we just make accusations and we destroy people. Now listen,
agreed.
Russell Brand has now been demonetized by YouTube. Now what does that mean?
He now?
Russell Brand makes his money on his YouTube videos. Okay.
But he still has Rumble and TikTok, correct? Still got those two. Let's see if they're up to the test of actually being able to hold on to all of that. Or are they going to get squished like baby tomatoes? Who knows? We shall see, huh, pretties?
So they've just demonetized him, so they won't sell or give him any money for what he's doing. The BBC said it would remove some programs featuring him from its streaming services, so they were still paying for the guy. Now it looks like YouTube is doing the same. I'm trying to find the YouTube, because the quote from YouTube is absolutely amazing. Where is it? The Renting's online social media platforms, blah, 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 saying it was a coordinated attack. Yes, it was. They said that now, I can't find the exact quote. While you're looking for that, can we just think quickly about what the line is here? Because there's a process that goes on when you are going to be convicted of a crime. And that begins with an accusation, then comes an investigation, then comes a charge filed against you, then comes a conviction, then comes a sentence, right? Why can't these companies just draw a line? Like, make the line, what's the line, a charge? Right, like if someone gets criminally charged with something, we're going to pull them off of our service. If is that fair?
I don't know.
Because you said conviction. It was conviction.
That's what I would go with. Personally, if you're convicted of a crime, even if you might still say you're innocent, and if you have some way of sorting this out, that's what our legal system is for.
And if you want to do that, then, if you want to take it off early, you just pay the person. Yeah, so they don't destroy their life.
Yeah, the NFL, if you're under contract and someone comes up with an accusation and they think they need to pull you off, they put you on the commissioner's suspended list, but you're still getting paid because, look, there's no conviction, nothing has been proven. If you're proven in a court of law to be guilty of a crime, it makes sense you might want to, like, that is the line probably. Instead, what it is if someone accuses you. Now, of course, people have been saying bad things about Russell Brand for a really long time. He's been saying bad things about himself for a very, very long time. All the money that came to YouTube was fine until this news story was written. Again, he has not been even charged with a crime, let alone convicted of one. He's not even been charged with it. He may be charged and convicted later on, but he hasn't been yet.
Correct. He says his relationships were always consensual. He was accused of rape and sexual assaults between 2006 and 2013. He denies the claims. Were any charges filed? Did anybody go to the police at the time? Anything? He says it's no. I don't want to judge because I don't know that we're not in a courtroom. But here's what YouTube said. You ready for this standard, Stu? See if this is a little earlier than conviction. If a creator's off-platform behavior harms our users, our employees, or ecosystem, we take action.
Now, what? What? Well, so, ruh-oh, Shaggy. What does that mean? Does that mean that every time Dick and Harry's gonna get in trouble for things that they do in their own workplaces? Is that gonna splinter out like a broken piece of glass? Who knows? I think the repercussions, though, are going to be quite sharp.
I don't know how his off-platform behavior in 2006
Before YouTube even existed?
Yeah, harmed your users, employees, or ecosystem. What they're saying is, if somebody calls in our ecosystem and says, I can't believe you guys are doing this, I'm not going to advertise, or I'm not going to provide that, that chair for your conference room, I'm not going to do it, because you would keep him up, that harms the ecosystem, and they can take action. We live in the Salem witch trial times.
It's true, and you know what, though? I can understand how these companies react this way. I mean, go back to your book, Dark Future, and the Great Reset. And then, great example of this is Twitter. You go use Twitter, or whatever the heck they're calling it this week, and I mean, if I get another ad for Cheech and Chong gummies, I'm going to, like, every one of their ads are just trash. Because there's no companies out there anymore. They've all just left because Elon Musk said, you're allowed to speak freely. So all the companies just left. But he himself is saying that revenue is down 80%.
And he himself is being charged with crimes that are not crimes. He's charged with not hiring, new migrants that don't have green card, don't have anything. That is the DOJ and the Pentagon's rule for a rocket company. It's unbelievable.
Good evening, and right before we dive into the story, I'll quickly mention that if you are just sick and tired of all the censorship on this platform, as well as all the other platforms out there, and if you're looking for a source of actual honest news, well, you're lucky, because you can check out the Epic Times. This month, we've extended our awesome sale and subscriptions to 25 cents a week for the whole year, which, if you do the math, works itself out just being $1 a month. And so, if you'd like an honest source of news that almost always gets completely blacked out by the legacy news outlets, well, consider trying a subscription for yourself. I'll throw a link right there at the top of the description box below, so you can check it out. Now, diving into the main topic, 4 days ago, there was a major development in the ongoing battle over the Second Amendment.
I'm recording right now.
Against a woman who was trying to restore her Second Amendment rights. And the details of this particular case, battle that's being waged right now in courtrooms across the whole country, wherein you have American citizens using a Supreme Court decision which came down just last year to try and claw back the gun rights that have been stripped away from us over the past 100 years. However, in order to explain what happened in this particular case, as well as what it means for the country going forward, let's back up real quick and start at the very beginning. Of course, right after you take a super quick moment to smack those like and subscribe buttons, which will quite literally force the YouTube algorithm to share this video and this content out to ever more people. Now, to start, the U.S. Supreme Court decision which started all this was the famous Bruin case, which for reference was the first gun rights related case to be heard in the U.S. Supreme Court in well over a decade. Let me give you a brief refresher on what that particular case was all about. You see, up until last year, up until the year 2022, if you were a resident of New York, it was almost impossible to get a concealed carry permit. That's because the state of New York has been, for the past 111 years, been forcing people to prove that they had a quote-unquote special need for self-protection. The relevant statute in New York was the Sullivan Act of 1911, and that particular law, it made it such that concealed carry permits can be issued at the sole discretion of local law enforcement. And in order for a citizen to obtain one of these concealed carry permits, he or she must, quote, demonstrate a special need for self-protection, distinguishable from that of the general community or of persons engaged in the same profession. Meaning, in practical terms, that for the past 111 years, only if the local police agreed that you had a special need for self-protection would they give you a license to conceal carry your gun outside the home. And proving that you had a special need wasn't easy. It didn't matter whether you lived in a high-crime area, and it didn't matter if you got robbed multiple.
I'm sorry, but my defense will always be that Congress shall make no law regarding that. If I'm going on a family trip, I'm going to have something with me in order to protect myself one way or another. Have you not ever read A Good Man is Hard to Find by Flannery O'Connor?
Multiple times before, unless you were an actual celebrity or you were a security guard, you were just out of luck. It was nearly impossible to get a concealed carry permit. Now, eventually, in the year 2018, the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, they filed a lawsuit against the superintendent of the New York State Police Force, arguing that the gun laws that were on the books for the past 111 years were actually all along unconstitutional. And after several years of legal back and forth, the case finally wound up in front of the U.S. Supreme Court, where the conservative majority on the court, they ruled in favor of the plaintiffs, specifically Justices Clarence Thomas, John Roberts, Sam Alito, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney.
Say, for example, if I'm going to the grocery store, okay, I know my way around that place so well that, in case anything were to happen, I would know how to get out of there and skedaddle. At least have that much self-preservation in myself. I'm aware of my surroundings, and I go to similar surroundings. I don't go out of my 15-minute city already, so to say, and it's been like this for over 5 years. So, Neener Neener Boo Boo, I already have a fucking head start on all of you.
When you heard, they all ruled that New York's law was indeed unconstitutional, and that the ability of a person to carry a pistol in public was a constitutional right under the Second Amendment. Furthermore, in the opinion statement that was written by Justice Clarence Thomas, there was a sentence which opened the door for other gun restricting laws across the nation to be rolled back. Here's specifically what Justice Clarence Thomas wrote as a part of the court's majority opinion. Quote, the burden falls on the defendants, meaning the government, to show that New York's proper cause requirement is consistent with this nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. Constitutional rights are enshrined to the scope they were understood to have when the people adopted them. With these principles in mind, the court concludes that respondents have failed to meet their burden to identify an American tradition justifying New York's proper cause requirement. And so, with this opinion statement, Justice Clarence Thomas established a new legal precedent. Moving forward, federal, state, and local governments will have to prove in court that their restrictive gun laws are, quote, consistent with this nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. And so, with this decision, as well as with this new legal standard that was established by the U.S. Supreme Court, well, the door was flung open for Americans to begin challenging restrictive gun laws across the whole country in the hope of having them overturned, no matter how old they were. Indeed, that's exactly what happened. Lawsuits began to spring up across the whole nation, which brings us neatly along to the case of Miss Melinda Benson. You see, Melinda is a woman out in the state of Utah who is a social worker currently running her own clinic. She's also a single mother who wants to own a gun in order to protect her family. That's all well and good. Very typical American story. Except there's a catch. 15 years ago, Melinda pleaded guilty to a felony charge of check fraud. Here's what happened back in the year 2008 amid the backdrop of the global financial crisis. Quote, Melinda Benson wrote a fraudulent check for $498.12 at a grocery store in 2008 when she was homeless and fighting off a drug addiction. She faced up to 30 years in prison and a $1 million fine, but she pleaded guilty and was sentenced to probation without prison. And so essentially, Melinda wrote a bad check 15 years ago. Because of that, to this very day, she can no longer own a gun, despite the fact that she has turned her life around. She's now a small business owner. Because she still is technically a convicted felon, she is unable to own a gun ever, as per a 1961 federal law. And as such, Melinda filed a lawsuit against the federal government back in the year.
There's also things that you can do within your own state, calling for expungement by pardon from the governor. Why hasn't she done that so far? That's kind of sitting back on your laurels and waiting for something to happen instead of proactively taking a actual step forward with your life legally. Did your lawyer not tell you this? If not, well, that was a bad lawyer.
Year 2020, arguing that the prohibition against her was unconstitutional. However, after bouncing around the court for about a year, in October of 2021, a federal judge dismissed the case. But then, the next year, in 2022, you had the landmark Bruin decision at the U.S. Supreme Court, which, as we just explained earlier, turned on its head the Second Amendment legal discussion in this country. Because after the Bruin decision, the onus was no longer on the individual, but rather, it was the government's job to prove that they have a long-standing historical precedent to take away someone's gun rights. And so, Melinda used this new standard in her appeal to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, which, just for reference, has jurisdiction over the states of Colorado, Kansas, Utah, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Wyoming. Essentially, in her appeal, Melinda was arguing that it was unconstitutional to bar her, a convicted felon of a non-violent crime, from ever owning a gun because there was no long-standing historical precedent for such a thing. Quote, in her appeal brief, Ms. Benson detailed that for much of U.S. history, orders simply have to pay back the amount stolen from double. Some states added on hard labor or solitary imprisonment as punishment. Most aggressively. Hello.
Hi, son. Did you walk? Did you walk? Or did you get a ride?
I walked home today.
Oh, okay. I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah, just it's late currently.
Oh, okay. Don't forget to get your shower tonight. Alright. Dishes are in the dishwasher. It's soup night.
Delaware gave forgers a public living, 39 lashes, plus an hour in the pillory, and then finally cut off the soft parts of their ears. But none of the original colonies deprived forgers of firearms. But the details here get a lot deeper, which we'll get into right after I introduce the sponsor of today's episode by showing you this little piece of money. Or rather, I should say that this is fake money being printed into oblivion by those geniuses over in Washington, D.C. And so before they completely obliterate my savings, what I recommend you do is to convert that fake money into real money, which is physical gold and silver. And the best company to use is the sponsor of today's episode, American Hartford Gold, who also happens to be my own personal gold and silver gold dealer. Yep, out, out into the wider American audience. And so, only up to being no brainer. The best of all. And in essence, Melinda's argument here was that the U.S. Supreme Court's Bruin decision shifted the burden of proof over to the government, such that it was now the government's burden to show why exactly she was still deprived of her Second Amendment rights. And they had to do so by showing a clear historical precedent for such a thing, which she argues doesn't exist. In fact, here was what Melinda's lawyer said during arguments. Quote, my client has made a remarkable transformation. Nothing in her record indicates she would be violent. Instead, her record suggests she would be a responsible gun owner. Under the Bruin decision, the government can't justify any ban on firearms without a valid historical precedent. The historical analysis that Bruin calls for has never been applied for this situation. Bruin set forth a test, and that's the test that meets the government's case. On the flip side, though, you had the lawyer representing the federal government argue that in the past, the U.S. Supreme Court did uphold laws which banned felons from owning guns, and also that the recent Supreme Court Bruin ruling doesn't change all that. Here's a quote from the government's lawyer during arguments. Quote, this court read the statement that the U.S. Supreme Court's decision was not casting doubt on long-standing felony prohibitions for firearms. And after about another year of legal back and forth, the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, they ruled against Ms. Melinda. They said that while the Bruin decision did create a new standard for the country, it did not specifically overturn the prohibition of felons from owning guns. The majority of the opinion of the court, it was joined by Justices Jill Carson, appointed to the bench by President Trump, Judge Paul Kelly Jr., appointed by George H.W. Bush, as well as Judge Robert Backer, appointed by President Obama. And here's what the judges wrote in the majority opinion. Quote, the Bruin decision created a new test for determining the scope of the Second Amendment, but it didn't appear to question the constitutionality of long-standing prohibitions on possession of firearms by convicted felons. Then, going into a bit more detail, the appeals court wrote in their opinion statement that the Bruin decision actually affirmed the constitutionality of denying firearms to felons. Quote, the Bruin case apparently approved the constitutionality of regulations requiring criminal background checks before applicants could get gun permits. In Bruin, the court struck down state regulations that had required the showing of a special need before someone could get a license to carry a gun. In preserving shall issue regimes and related background checks, the court arguably implied that it was constitutional to deny firearm licenses to individuals with felony convictions. We conclude that Bruin did not indisputably and conclusively abrogate our presidential opinion, meaning in plain English that in the opinion of the appeals court, while the Bruin decision did create a new legal standard, it didn't negate the federal ban that's been in place since 1961, which prohibits felons from owning firearms. In short, the appeals court ruled that gun bans for non-violent felons were indeed constitutional. However, one of the judges on the bench, Judge Robert Ackroyd, he joined the majority decision against Melinda, but he also wrote a separate opinion.
So meaning felons still can get in trouble for having a firearm. Oh, well, that sucks.
Wherein he said that he believed the U.S. Supreme Court should come out and they should provide a clearer standard on whether felons have the right to possess a gun or not. In the separate opinion, he wrote that, quote, the High Court may overturn that gun ban, but even...
Well, as it stands in the Constitution, and if you don't go further than that, if you have a felony, you can't have a gun. Sometimes, depending on state, I believe also that, the right to vote is also suspended. So, you wonder why they won't charge those people in Antifa with major crimes, high crimes, misdemeanors, and whatnot. Well, that's why.
If it were possible for the Supreme Court to implicitly abrogate a precedent, the court didn't do so in Bruin. And that might be exactly what happened, because Ms. Melinda Benson, after having gone through the entire lower court system, she can now appeal her case directly to the U.S. Supreme Court, who will now be given a chance to clarify whether non-violent felons like Melinda, whose only crime was writing a $500 badge check 15 years ago, should indeed be prohibited from owning a gun for the rest of her life. Now, at the moment, it hasn't been announced whether Ms. Melinda...
Well, the question is it also a political targeting? Has anybody asked that question?
will appeal her case all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, and as soon as she decides one way or the other, I'll give you that update. Until then, if you'd like to go through the details of this particular case in greater detail, I'll put all the links to everything that we discussed in today's episode. They'll all be down there in the description box below, so you have to peruse at your own leisure. And also, I'd also know your thoughts. Is the 1961 federal law, which prohibits non-violent felons from owning a gun, constitutional, irrespective of what the appeals court said? Do you think it makes sense? Or do you perhaps think that every gun law on the books is an infringement of the U.S. Constitution? I'd love to know your thoughts. Please leave them in the comments section below. I'll be reading them later tonight, as well as well into the week. And then, lastly, if you are, just as I mentioned at the top of the episode, just sick and tired of all the censorship on this platform, with or without the federal...
That's enough. Next.
Old roofs needed. We're looking for old roofs to replace with our new permanent metal roofs. Can we replace yours? Click the link.
Thank you all for being here. When the press stops doing verbal interviews, we'll keep going. Growing up in my household, my dad used to have an expression, for real. He'd say a job is about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about being able to look your child in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay, and mean it. That idea is at the heart of my economic vision to rebuild our economy from the middle out, the bottom up, not the top down. Because when that happens, the middle class does fine, and the labor unions built the middle class in America. But secondly, the poor have a shot up, and the wealthy still do very well, except they don't pay enough tax. That's a different issue. And that vision is powered by a strong labor movement. That's why in America, I'm proud that my administration is characterized as the most pro-union administration in American history. Let me be clear. Whether it's your auto workers or any other union worker, record corporation profits should mean record contracts for union workers. Today, I'm proud to stand next to a group of leaders who feel the exact same way as we launch our new Partnership for Workers' Rights. Over the last few days, the nations of the world have talked about climate change, sustainable development, food security, economic resilience. But we know our progress on these challenges depends on our workers. They will drive our clean energy transition. They will keep the global supply chain secure. They'll build the infrastructure we need to keep our economy strong. So we have to empower them as well. That's what this new partnership is all about. Partnership actually was this man's idea. Overall, we have 5 key goals. First, protect workers' rights. That means ending forced labor, ending child labor, ending work exploitation, which is far too common around the world. A step toward this goal. We'll work with leaders around the world to make sure that the Director General of the International Labor Organization is here with us today, to ensure that workers not only know their rights, but also have the tools to exercise them. The second goal is to promote a safe and decent work, and includes ensuring countries and companies are held accountable for the impacts of their investments on workers' health, workers' wages, and workers' rights. And the third element of this is we will advance a worker-centered clean energy transition. Folks, as I've told labor from the very beginning, when I think of climate change, I think of jobs. That's why as we ramp up our production technologies like solar and smart grids, doubling down on our efforts to ensure the transition to a fair and significant opportunities for workers in their communities. Fourth, we're going to harness technology to benefit workers. That means ensuring the new technologies like artificial intelligence and advanced platforms work for working people. And finally, we'll tackle workplace discrimination. Supporting our workers is about making sure no one is left behind. So through this new partnership, we're going to, with our labor movements, promote greater work equality, including through collective bargaining. And so let me close with this. This announcement is also an invitation to every global leader and every labor organization to join us, and commit to a better future. One where workers all across the nations will be treated with dignity and respect. Our economies and our nations will all be stronger because of it. Now I'd like to turn over to a leader who has made this partnership possible. President Wu, the floor is yours.
Well, first of all, I would like to greet President Biden and to say to President Biden, can you hear me, President Biden? This is an extraordinary moment for Brazil and for the U.S. President Biden, can you hear me? You can? Yes, good. And so there's the U.S. delegation that is here with me. I'd like to greet my wife that is also here. I'd like to greet the Brazilian trade unionists that came to my invitation by my labor minister. And also like to greet the U.S. trade union leaders that are here, that we always had a very good relationship, an extraordinary relationship with the U.S. labor movement. Well, first of all, I have the happiness to share with President Biden this partnership for workers' rights. And I'm very much honored with the presence of our brother, Gilberto Wambo, Director General of the International Labor Organization, and my brother, Luis Marinho, the Labor Minister of Brazil. And I'd also like to greet the participation of the main leaders of the American Federation of Labor and other labor organizations in the U.S., in which I owe them a lot of I'm very grateful to them. There's many different moments that we had in Brazil. The U.S. labor movement showed solidarity, provided solidarity to us, to the Brazilian labor movement. When I joined the trade union activities a long time ago, I would never imagine that I would become the president of my country, and I would never could imagine to be side by side the President Biden, side by side the Director General of ILO, discussing the creation of decent work policy and partnership to improve the lives of the poor workers, especially in this digitalized world where artificial intelligence speaks much more powerfully than the worker's voice. So this is a moment of great, that I'm very grateful. We know what happened with the neoliberal politics in the world. The fact of the matter is that we have today more than 2 billion workers that are in the informal sector, according to ILO, and we have more or less 214 million human beings that even being employed, they live under absolute poverty because they earn less than $1.90 per day. It is unacceptable that women, ethnic minorities, and people LGBTQ+ are discriminated in the labor market. Since I came back to the presidency in Brazil, I have made all the endeavors to rebuild and enrich the country. Very few months, we managed to do something extraordinary. We have already created in the first 8 months of my terms 1,200,000 formal works with job contracts. The minimum wage came back to growth above past inflation. 8% of the bargaining collective bargaining negotiations have readjustments above past inflation, 80%. And we also passed in the Congress, after decades of waiting to pass such a bill, a law that guarantees to the women to receive the same salary that the man has if they perform the same work, the same position. It seemed impossible. So equal work, equal pay. We also established a collective bargaining table between the business sector, workers, and government. And this roundtable, this forum, which we're going to develop not only a decent work or decent job perspective due to the digital platforms that use precarious work, but we also want to create maybe a new framework in the function of labor and management, a relationship with the 21st century that is civilized, but also following to what President Biden said, all people that believe that weak unions will make that the employer and the businessman earns more, and the country will render mistaken. There's no democracy without strong trade unions, because the trade union effectively is the one that speaks on behalf of the worker to advocate for their rights. I have already said to the U.S. American trade unions, my admiration for President Biden's vision that he has vis-a-vis the trade unions comes from the very first speech that he did in his inauguration, when he said, and I quote, "The wealth of the U.S. was not made by the business sector, it was built by the workers." This is the most pure truth, and we will make the energy transition an extraordinary opportunity to reindustrialize and maybe to make the jobs become quality jobs. We are working directly with some urgent things by President Biden that is ultimately the protection of workers' rights, promoting decent work through public and private investments, fighting discrimination in the workplace, approach centered on the workers in the transition for clean energies. And for last, the use of technology in terms of digital technology in pro of decent work. This initiative, President Biden, will be taken forward by the U.S. President Biden in all the international forums that will participate. Brazil will chair next year the G20. And so we will chair, then afterwards, in 2025, the BRICS process, and then we have COP30 in the 2026, heart of the Amazon region, all these forums, and I can reassure the workers and assure you all that we will be working and trying to build conditions so that all the rulers in the world will accept the protocol that the ones that are working here, because all human beings, men or women, black or white, they have the right to decent work. Thank you very much.
What was
Mr. President, from my perspective, it's quite a historical moment to have two of the most influential leaders together launching this initiative, knowing how close the workers' rights, the workers' well-being is for both President Biden and President Lula. ILO has been working for more than 100 years to advance the cause of social justice and decent work, and our unique tripartite governance structure gives workers, employers, and government equal status in our work. We have unparalleled.
Look, everyone. Anybody got to zoom in on that?
Understanding of how decent work can build better lives, better economies, and better societies. This is why we unequivocally welcome this United States and Brazil partnership for workers' rights. While listening to President Biden highlighting the key element of the partnership, it just reminds me of our own mission. Not only the rights, fighting for the rights against exploitation, against child labor, against forced labor, fighting against discrimination in all forms of discrimination, as President Lula reminded us, the accountability and the role of the private sector, the impact of technology, including artificial intelligence, is not anymore just the blue collar, but both the blue collars and the white collars, and the just transition about job, about not leaving anybody behind. Those are very critical to ILO mandate. So decent work empowers workers to organize and to negotiate. It is fostered social justice is essential if people are to have a brighter future, which is the reason why all of us are here. So from ILO perspective, we are so committed.
They didn't even have him go out on stairs. Wowza, everybody. You see that? Now the question is, who is all the Yazoos in the press? Who are all these people? Any familiar faces here? No Peter Ducey. Shame.
Over the weekend at Joint Base Charleston, they confirmed a, quote, mishap involving an F-35B Lightning II jet.
The Raptor.
So the pilot had to eject. The Joint Base didn't give further details on the incident or what specifically prompted the ejection, but it did request the public's help in locating this missing jet. They think it was an autopilot. There's no crash, and they have come on social media saying, hey, if anybody finds this jet, this $80 million jet, please let us know.
Wow.
Still, as we report, this has not been found.
Is there a must be in the ocean, right? It has to be in the ocean.
Yeah, the transponder stopped working.
I don't like these ejection seats. That's $80 million of taxpayers paid. I want you to hang out and really try to save that jet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'd punch out immediately. Like if a fucking warning light came on the dash, I'd be like, all right, I'm out of here.
That leash that surfers have. You know,
Yeah,
you get attached to it.
Oh, no, you don't.
How is this possible? This is not
Exactly
possible. Wait, in the United States?
Yes.
Because this is This definitely feels like Hungary to me, or some place that's weird. This is in the United States. We cannot find.
They can't find the jet. They're not giving away too many details. They think it could have still been on autopilot. They are saying there's no way it's in the air now. That's some information they've given us.
Well, can they say to the pilot what direction were you facing? Like he's like, I was facing Bakersfield.
Yeah, so pilot's alive.
And
Pilot's alive was taken to a local medical center in stable condition.
he must know, where he was headed.
You would think, yeah.
And how much fuel was in it? Because presumably
Not know how much fuel was in at the time of ejection. Now let me give you this.
Well, wait a minute. It's crazy. No, you cannot take one of those planes off without saying, here's how many pounds of fuel is on this plane. Like they know what it's at. Then they know how long he flew before he ejected and how much fuel the plane uses per hour, per minute, or whatever it is. So they should have a real good idea of how much fuel was on this plane. But
yeah, so the authorities believe there was a possibility that it could have remained airborne for some time. Though as of noon Monday, they're certain it's no longer flying. Still have no idea where they're asking for the public's help to locate this jet.
Well, the public tried to find Brian Laundrie, and that didn't work out too well. So we have been trying to find Big Flat. We're not good at this. Yeah. I was like Gabby Petito.
Gabby Petito. We tried to find her.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This
I know.
Gabby Petito planes, maybe. We've lost way too many planes in our history.
I think it's got to be in like a lake somewhere or ocean. It's got to be on the water.
The Gabby Petito story I love because first all America is looking for her, and then about 10 minutes later, CNN and MSNBC they start bitching. If she was a woman of color, we wouldn't be looking for her. And my answer is no. If you're hot, we'll look for you. Like whatever color, but if you're fat, we ain't looking.
You're done.
You're done. Yeah. If Gabby Petito put on about 40 pounds,
My God.
no search party. That's how it works. If you're good looking, we want to find you. If you're fat, nobody looks for you.
Looking for Jen Aniston, but
If she gets out, we'll go look for her.
More sensitive to stay in shape, right?
Give us a beat.
Just in case. Stay in shape.
Yeah,
That's good enough reason. Stay in shape. That should be one way to watch your slogan. Stay in shape. You want to be lookable.
they show up.
You want to be findable.
They show up 3 days later, like a husband's house. Like,
Oh, man.
she's been gone for 3 days. Oh, did you try to Taco Bell? Maybe she'll walk off.
They just got New Mountain Dew Blaster. Yeah, she's probably on 3rd Street. Oh, well, this, I don't know. The public.
We should try. Have Lena Dunham go missing, and if Jennifer Aniston go missing, she's going to be looking
back and forth. Where is she now in her journey? Yeah,
she's a
fluctuator.
Oh, she's a fluctuator. Okay.
I'm guessing they find Jennifer Aniston real quick.
We certainly mount a party.
Yeah.
It's a search party.
Yeah,
It's a national emergency.
Everyone's looking.
Mhm.
GoPros.
Yeah, I will include Jennifer Aniston. Was I telling you about Sofia Vergara? That's the two people I don't need to hear from ever again is Sofia Vergara and Jennifer Aniston. Jennifer Aniston tells Variety, I don't care what she's
Let's listen to Sofia Vergara speak. Like, there's something about her voice.
Oh, God, every one of those entertainment shows. Sofia Vergara please shut up. She barely speaks English. She doesn't have a thought in her head. It's crazy.
There's also certain people that, I think more often than not, we don't welcome like an actor's, bigger picture ideas. But like, there's been a handful that have really like, I think Sean Penn gives a big fuck, and actually like cares on many levels. But those people are few and far between.
I would like to hear what Sean Penn has to say, but I do not give a shit what Sofia Vergara has to say.
What if me and Sophia have the same ideas, Adam?
You and Sean?
What if we both care about Ukraine? Sophia might be able to articulate it.
I think Sean will be on the show coming up.
No way.
Oh, well.
He's been on before.
Yeah,
That's
he's
cool.
been on before. Of course he has.
Cool
Guy.
Yeah.
I remember the Laugh Factory once, and he couldn't have been cooler. And he looked like he was smoking a cigarette indoors. He was. But he looked like he was. And I was like, I couldn't tell with the lights, but I'm like, if he's not, he still has the aura of a guy who's just like, I do things a little differently.
Yeah.
In the wild,
dude.
yeah.
And his brothers are certainly
And funny.
well.
I mean, that's when he was on SNL. I mean, just a fuck. I think he did some really great church lady sketch back in the day.
He's talented.
Yeah.
I want to see him pull like a Spicoli line. Do a line from Fast Times.
That's a remake I would have.
Yeah, oh yeah, imagine. That'd be cool. Spicoli's brain dead.
His best line in that movie is the throwaway line when he comes in to talk to Mr. Hand and he's like, and he goes, I know that dude. Like he's point. There's a dude in the back of the class that he knows. I don't know why that always struck me.
That's a good
so
one.
funny because it's not even a joke.
No.
It's just what his character would say if he was talking to the teacher. He doesn't say anything about the dude. He just acknowledges, oh, do we have it?
Wow, good pull.
Wow, is that a good pull? Man.
Great character actor, this teacher.
Put some hand on
That's
Sorry, 6 seconds. Oh, okay, yeah. They never even show the dude he's pointing to. He just knows
that was
the dude.
rough.
Could have been in a class. Yeah. All right. So
Well, anyway, this jet still missing, so good luck finding it. Yeah, I don't know if there's a reward. All right, so let's see. There's a few apologies going around. I guess we could start with the strike, the writer strike that we mentioned earlier. So Drew Barrymore I mean, she has gone through the ringer here. First, she announced that she's going to resume production of her show.
Yeah.
It gets, they pick it, they complain, all the writers. So then she releases like some weird video apology where she's talking to the camera, like it's over 4 minutes long.
She cries, and then she cries. An apology is always weird when you cry and go, I'm sorry, but then go, but also shit my plate. Yeah. So I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah, well, this was after the National Book Award ceremony rescinded, in light of her decision to return to her daytime talk show. They rescinded her invitation to host it, their award show, because she was in production. Like, hey, we're a book award ceremony. We love our writers, so we got to take away your.
Everyone's just posturing, right? I don't know who really cares, but anyway.
Well, here's some of her apology.
Yeah. Her promise is she cares about being likable. And that's an untenable position in today's society.
I think the backlash could also be that she outed ET. And
Yeah,
he was trying to live and assimilate. He was trying to closet eating Reese's Pieces, and we were like, freaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah, his fingers were long, like, but whatever. He was
Just gotta
don't be hating on the long fingers.
So let's hear it.
I think we apologize to writers. I think we apologize to unions.
Also, pick a lens to
I
look
think
at.
we apologize.
Oh, no. Yeah, I can't with this.
I wonder what Sofia Vergara's take is on this.
I don't exactly know what to say because sometimes when things are so tough, it's hard to make decisions from that place. So all I can say is that I wanted to accept responsibility.
All right. And so, by the way, this apology, she did all this, but she still said, but the show's going on.
Yeah,
So
so
if
in
everyone's
case
really upset or mad about it, well,
The Instagram comments are flooded with a lot of verified accounts being like, they're disappointed. A lot of big name people that are just like, what are you doing? Like, we gotta stand. Like, if you really care, pay your writers. I think I saw her estimated worth be dropped out there, and it's like, if that's what you care about, everybody, all these shows want to get back, but I do understand too at a level she's at and high profile. Yeah, like it pulls a little bit of the rug out. Sorry, too soon, but
Are
it
they
pulls
mad
the
at
rug
her
out.
more than Bill Maher?
Well,
No, I think equal. Bill Maher hasn't done a public crying video in his kitchen. Or has he?
No, not yet. But everyone's mad at Drew Barrymore's apology. She deletes this video from her Instagram.
She did?
She deleted it.
Oof,
and also,
okay.
she posted a new thing.
No.
And I'll read what it says. I've listened to everyone, and I'm making the decision to pause the show's premiere until the strike is over. I have no words to express my deepest apologies to anyone I've hurt, and of course to our incredible team who works on the show and has made it what it is today. We really tried to find our way forward, and I truly hope for resolution for the entire industry very soon.
She should just do the fucking show
Yeah,
because
yeah.
now she's on record as wanting to do the show,
Yeah.
which is enough in this town.
Well, I think deleting the video is more damning than anything, right? It's like you did it, but you took it down, right?
Right.
Or is it a PR stunt where it's like, now we're talking about it, now we can't wait to see the show come back because that first episode will be her doing a monologue being like, so I was sorry about, and then we're all like, but does that first shot be a beggar? Does she have to have on Tom Hanks and Obama to go like, you fucked up, you know?
And in that apology video, she's even like, hey, there's no PR company doing this. This is all me.
No bells and whistles.
Right. Here, let me give you something. We are in a post-chicks crying, we give a fuck era. Kids grow up knowing all they got to do is start the waterworks, and everyone comes around. You know what I mean? Like, it works. It works when you have a daughter. She starts, if your daughter starts crying and because she doesn't get to ride shotgun to the movie theater and back, you're just gonna tell your son, you fucking ride outside the car, dude. She's crying. And your son's will be like, well, she got shotgun on the way. Now she got shotgun because she's crying. Get out of the car. So women get it baked in early.
There's only been a few times that my kids have actually went to the movie theaters ever. And those times were quite memorable. And with friends and other little things like that. We didn't go to the movie theaters every weekend like some.
And often that you start the waterworks and everyone will stop. We're not living in that time anymore. There's way too many angry bitches online who are like, I tried that shit too. I know one when I see one because that's what I do, and no one gives a fuck anymore. It used to be if you broke it down and cried, people would go, all right, okay, all right, no mas.
Yeah.
We're not there.
But also, don't you think less is more? If you're gonna cry, apologize. Like you can't just like bask in the lens like that for 4.5+ minutes.
Yeah.
Just like trying to find the words. No, fucking.
She's proven she's right.
That's quite funny.
They need to be punched up.
Now more than ever, you need writers for this
Yeah.
speech.
Well, the other show that was in the news for resuming production was Bill Maher, Real Time Bill Maher. So he went out saying, hey, I have a crew. We got to resume production here. It's not just the writers that are getting paid and losing their jobs. It's the rest of my crew. So what we're going to do is I'm not going to have monologues. I consider myself a writer too. No monologue, no new rules. We'll just keep it the panel.
So he can't even write for himself.
Right.
And if we think like I bet you thought of that earlier this afternoon and wrote it on a cocktail napkin, then we can cry foul.
Right.
Well, look, Bill Maher has
Doesn't anyone follow that?
12 to 16 writers, probably. I mean, this show's a lot more writers than you think, but his whole crew is 85 people.
Yeah.
So, the writers don't even represent 10% of all the grips and camera operators and audience people. So there's an army of people you employ to do a show that. And so why should they be held hostage by this small group of people who get paid a lot more than they do to do their job?
Yeah, so he said his team had been hopeful that a strike would be resolved after Labor Day, but he's like, look, there's nothing moving, so nothing, we're just going to resume. And he said, look, and I'll be honest, the show's not going to be as good as it was because we don't have writers. But here we go. So,
And now, but celebrities can't go on the show, aren't going to be able to show up on the show either.
well, we won't find out because today he has announced he's not resuming production.
Oh, man. I think he's imagining a call between Bill Maher and Rob Reiner, and he's going like, Bill Maher's calling Rob Reiner, he's going, you want to come on the show? And Rob Reiner,
Yes. What's up? How may I help you? Yes, yeah. What's up?
I'm doing concessions Saturday in the morning, probably going to Ricochet's house.
What is today? Thursday. So you want to go over there tomorrow? Not. And it's Saturday?
Mhm.
Okay, no problem. Tell your dad where you're going to be.
Okay.
And make sure you go over to Grandma's and whatnot. And yes,
And in the game tomorrow, it's against Piedmont. And it's a wagon.
it's against Piedmont, huh?
Yes.
Whoopity doo. They're the Jaguars, right? Or are they Panthers? Piedmont Panthers.
No, they're Bulldogs.
Oh, Bulldogs. I'm thinking of Welbourne.
Mm-hmm.
Piedmont away game.
Mm-hmm. And I have to go there.
Okay. That'll give you some time to come home and go see Grandma and
Also, will I be able to bring and wash them?
put them in there for now. I'll wash them. Or you can at least pour them in. And I will put the soap in and stuff. Okay, back to it. Reminders written down.
They'd be like, I can't cross the line. I'm very solid in with the writers and the actors unions. Okay, because we're not doing a monologue and we're not doing new rules, so that'll give you an extra 18 minutes to talk shit about Trump. Yeah, man. It's just me, a round table, no monologue, no new rules, no sidebar interview, just an extra 14 and a half minutes to fucking talk shit about Trump. God damn it, Bill, you know I can't cross the fucking line.
Yeah, dude.
Put me in a bad position here, man.
So
he's not doing it either.
Yeah, so he announced that my decision to return to work was made when it seemed like nothing was happening. There's no end in sight to the strike. But now that both sides have agreed to go back to the negotiating table, I'm going to delay the return of real time for now. And
I have an announcement. I'm going to host both their shows. I'm going to put them back on their feet. I'm going to host the Drew Barrymore show in the afternoon, and then in the evening, I'm going to host Bill Maher's show. Okay? And I'm doing. Who's your first guest on the Drew Barrymore show? Rob Reiner. Right? Talk shit about Trump.
So we thought we were getting those shows back. Now, how come did you guys already discuss? Did it not make it into the Rolodex of news? But was it this past weekend the Bobert Beetlejuice? You want to talk about? Yeah. I don't know. That's just. I think that's a very. There's footage of it. It's a lot of people getting handsy in musicals, and we are anticipating. So this in Denver, they're watching Beetlejuice. This is out. Lauren Boebert, Republican representative, and she got kicked out. And according to her, she's like, look, I was just singing. I was guilty of laughing and singing too loud, and they think a little more of that. Is that her opening thing?
Well, there's the conversation you have before you think there was a surveillance camera, and then the one you have after the surveillance.
Oh, sure, yeah. So that was what she said. There's footage of her being asked to leave. That's all I reported out.
Yeah, I haven't seen this.
Oh, yeah, so this is the footage. So you can see the guy kneeling down, getting her level.
Is there an over the pants HJ in eyesight here?
No, this is just her getting kicked out. But let's go to the next clip.
She was vaping hard.
She said people were complaining that she was vaping. She's snapping pictures, and then there's this clip here zoomed in with her and her date. Her date is touching her chest, her boobs, fondling up. Weird, like. And then as the show's going on, and then her hand is now going to go to his crotch. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
And so there's some fondling going on.
Yeah, she's married for 18 years, I think.
Yeah, she was married. No. So she's divorced in May. Very public divorce. So she's saying like, look,
here's what. Okay, so freshly divorced, back into the dating pool, right? Everything. You're in the honeymoon phase, even if you just met the busboy at the Holiday Inn Express, right? Everything is a fuck opportunity. And who said that? Yeah, Will Rogers. Yep. And he meant it when he said it. And I think when you look at Boebert, you go, she's, you get turned on in places that you're not expecting to. Right. Now, look, Beetlejuice the musical, the funniest backdrop for a hand job and a boob fondle. I think based on that footage, she should go back and watch the game tape and go, I mean, there's just sitting, like, not even looking at her, just kind of like grabbing it, almost like he was, the woman in the Lionel Richie music video looking for a door handle, hello, he looked like a blind guy trying to find a titty. I don't know, where are you guys down, like, you found it, a couple of she looks like McLovin from Superbad. Right, she's got a look, Doris.
Glasses, yeah, the walk.
All right, but what do you guys come down on privacy things? Like, I know everyone hates her, but you're being filmed in a...
What's that?
By the way, with this shirt, hang it out to dry.
Which one is it?
It's the
chili pepper. Okay.
I figured out why it's doing this is because it's being dried.
Okay.
So it needs to be.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
Sorry.
in a dark theater,
that's
and
interesting,
you think you have anonymity there. Like, it's dark. Where you're sitting,
Yeah.
you can do whatever the fuck you want because it's dark and you're not being filmed. But then we have infrared cameras and we get the fucking it's the thing Apache helicopter pilots use doing night missions, and all of a sudden we can just film. Like I've done in a dark movie theater, I've done my fair share of nose picking and ball scratching and got sneaking a beer in there and sucking off the beer, which rolls down to the bottom. But then the place, like I have a sense of I'm in a protected area here. Like I'm not being filmed.
Yeah, I remember I was kissing a girl on a Haunted Mansion ride when I was a teenager at Disneyland, and they stopped the ride.
Really?
They got on the
You were
intercom.
kissing?
Yeah, and they're like, please keep it appropriate.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Discreet?
and
That's
it's
crazy.
one of those little buggies. The whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I got a hand job on Pirates of the Caribbean in 2006.
Hell yeah.
From my ex, shout out to Liz. I'm not gonna say her last name. She knows who she is. She then cheated on me with the cameraman in Reno, so karma. But so she's great. I wish all the best. But so we're in the ride, and it's very dark. You don't want to talk about a dark experience. Like that was, it was. I mean, and I think full lights out. The only thing that gave it away is the fact that when I come, I go, "This is the best hand job I've ever done." So that gave it away. But other than that, like nobody knew what was going on. We're in the last row to see. I mean, look, I chose the wrong time to come. It was right when I locked eyes with a pirate. It was like, and I was like, so now, that guy's beyond. So that's amazing. Johnny Depp. Don't you? Like, speed this along. We're almost at the finish line.
All right.
So this guy that she's with, he's like an owner of a bar in Aspen, and now everyone's review bombing his bar. He's a Democrat, by the way.
It's a gay bar, I thought.
Yeah, they do drag shows there and everything. I was confused. Like, what is it? Which is Bober?
Yeah, she's a woman first, and a politician second.
But again, Beetlejuice.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Like, you couldn't have gone to a fucking, I don't know, a David Blaine show or like something that's. Well, maybe I actually hear. I will immediately come back with. Yeah, I don't know the songs of the Beetlejuice musical, but I'm assuming it's loud and.
There's something cool about doing it in a really inappropriate place. I guess.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's the thrill of getting caught, right?
Yeah. One of the few guys who tried a doggy style and got red burns on his forehead. Normally it's the knees. It's the knees and elbows that take the beating, but never the full.
Google has refused to run our ad, labeling it election advertising,
Really?
which clearly it is not. Click now to see for yourself.
No thanks.
Why invest in Liquid Piston? Here are the top 5 reasons. Liquid Piston's engines are reshaping the industry. Their groundbreaking technology.
Shocking video. Eagle Pass, Texas shows thousands of illegal immigrants walking into the United States. In fact, in one video, you see what appears to be Border Patrol agents opening the door, opening the gates, counting them out, letting them in, and then closing it. Right now, the breaking news. Eagle Pass mayor signs emergency declaration amid migrant surge. Awaits numbers from federal government. Many people are tweeting about Italy, the island of Lampedusa. Right now, some are speculating that around 18,000 illegal immigrants have entered the island of 6,000. Yeah, 3-1. The locals are completely overrun, and many there are worried. There's protests, there's screaming, there's fighting. It's getting bad. My fear is on the island of Lampedusa, violence is imminent, because already we're seeing videos reportedly of migrants setting up barricades, seizing territory. Locals are screaming, police are pushing back angry crowds. Now, this is an island. It's not the United States. And while everyone's talking about this, some are overlooking what's happening directly here in the United States. Eagle Pass had several thousand illegal immigrants walk right in, and it is so bad, the town of about 28,000 to 30,000 has signed a declaration of emergency. Here's a story from Fox San Antonio. They say, Mayor Rolando Salinas of Eagle Pass today signed an emergency declaration after the new surge of migrants started arriving this weekend. The mayor said he is still waiting the official numbers from the federal government as to how many have actually crossed. In the meantime, Salinas says if Eagle Pass gets the disaster funding through this declaration, it will go towards reimbursing fire and police resources that had to be used so far. Salinas also stated the city of Eagle Pass would not be opening a shelter, saying we don't have the funds or resources to do that. The city says Mission Border will continue providing help to migrants dropped off at the shelter by Border Patrol after being processed. What is opening is Border Hope's new facility that will be able to take these immigrants, said Salinas during a city council meeting today. What you need to understand is that it appears Border Patrol and the city are facilitating mass migration into the United States. The declaration of emergency probably is so that they can get federal funding to help facilitate illegal immigration into the United States. It's crazy that we're at this point. I don't even know how to describe it. You've got people in New York up in arms. ABC and New York reporting tensions flare on Staten Island as bus of migrants arrives at senior living facility. Violence on the verge of breaking out, and we don't want this. But for some reason, they don't stop. Biden's not doing anything. CBP is helping. They are actively gutting your way of life, your neighborhoods, your systems. Now, I'll make sure it's very clear for everybody. I think everyone in the world should come to the United States. Every single one. All of the immigrants. Come here, come to the U.S. We're better than the rest. But you gotta do it legally. And that means there'll be a process by which you apply. You come, we grant visas. I am absolutely okay with that. Because when you adequately properly place people and migrants, they flourish, they integrate better with our way of life, our constitution, and we get the best of the best. The smartest, brightest people in other countries coming here will make this country better. What will make it worse? Open borders where various random groups of people from a bunch of different countries come here to extract the resources. And that's why you are seeing outreach in New York City. So by all means, media, say right wing, say whatever you want to say, far right, open borders, blah, blah, blah. When people in New York City are screaming at Ocasio-Cortez, yeah, this is a left and right issue. Regular people in this country, they do not want this. They can't sustain this, but it's okay, because there's nothing you can do about it. The people of New York City, all of you, you voted for this. You voted for people like AOC who now spit in your face. Oh, I love that video. It's Schadenfreude, really. Y'all voted for her in ridiculous numbers, and then when you're protesting, she outright says, we're going to give them more of your resources. We're going to let them take your jobs, and they're going to have special protected status here in our district. That's what she said to people who were protesting. She yelled over them, and you vote for her. They keep voting for her. This does not end well. Angry people are not going to just sit by and let this happen. Take a look at this video. Bill Malugan, mass illegal crossing of well over 1,000 migrants in Eagle Pass, Texas, taking place right now. This is from this morning at 10 a.m. Others telling my producer, they just arrived on a train in Mexico. Many still in water crossing, massive groups. And there you have it. Nothing will be done to protect your country, to protect your hard work, to protect your home from fighting age males. All just walking in with smiles on their face, fanning and waving, saying, we're coming to your neighborhood, New York. That's where they're going. You know what?
Yep. Because every time that the United States federal government houses an illegal alien, they are housing another country's soldier. Doesn't matter the age. today's children is tomorrow's armies.
That's what you're going for. I'm glad to see the people of New York are upset. Yeah, thumbs up. Amazing. And they don't care. They don't care. These people who are coming here don't care about what you think or what you want. They want what they want. And I don't blame them. I really don't. I mean, to a certain degree, I blame them, right? But I mean this. Of course they want to come to America. America's the best. Look at this. Look at this photo of these people illegally entering the United States. For what purpose do we have borders? For what purpose do we have a state? For what purpose do we have law enforcement? If Border Patrol is letting them all come in. You see these videos on Lampedusa, they're scary. Very, very scary stuff. You've got thousands of migrants from North Africa coming into the Italian island. And you see locals, it's terrifying, are screaming in anger. I don't know where this goes, but I have to imagine it will result in violence because it's seemingly what they want. Do you think that your politicians care about you? Let me stress this. This is the important message for all of the Democrats. All of you in New York City, all of you in Chicago, many people in Los Angeles, these big cities. How about this? How about in Martha's Vineyard? Whinging and complaining. How about The View? That's right. The lefty libs on The View said they got to send these migrants somewhere else. Where? Send them where? Here you go. Tensions flare on Staten Island as a bus arrives. Protesters flooded the street outside a former Midland Beach senior living facility Tuesday night, temporarily blocking a bus carrying asylum seekers. I am sick of the lies. Sick of it. They're not asylum seekers. The press, they lie every single time. A UN report about the migrants coming into Europe, the UN said they are economic migrants. They are coming here for work and for money. Well, let's just simplify everything. Are we overpopulated? The left says yes. Are we producing too much carbon? The left says yes. So what do you think happens if you're seeing 1 million people come in every year? Are you going to produce more or less carbon? You're going to produce more. More people, more fuel requirements, more air conditioning, more homes, more construction, more. And it will strain the local population. This is why people are upset. In New York, they're cutting the budget. Emergency services cut. Repairs cut. Casey Neistat published a video where he's on the sidewalk and he sees a crack and he pushes through it and it crumbles down 20 or so feet into some kind of sub level of New York City. And he puts the camera in there, you can see you would just fall straight through. The hole wasn't that big, but it's still scary to see. If beneath the sidewalks, you could fall that far down. Or get stuck. And he says, scary, what if you stepped on it and your leg went straight through? Well, we can fix it. Sorry. We're using all of your money and resources from your taxes because New York State doesn't print money. The federal government does, but New York State is not doing that. No, they're going to use your tax dollars to help fund the illegal immigrants that are coming in mass. And you know what? Y'all protesting, you voted for it. Let me say that again. You voted for it. Third time, you voted for it. So you get what you vote for. I ain't got no problem with that. That's what you want. That's what you get. Hey, democracy, right? But maybe y'all will start changing your voting habits. I appreciate seeing people protest, saying no to this. But I can tell you right now, the information that we're getting suggests it is all going to get worse. Take a look at the story from a few days ago, Daily Wire. Colony Ridge, the fastest growing development in the U.S., a magnet for illegal immigrants. They are going to generate violent conflict in this country. And yeah, I'll break down for you how, using real world examples. Experts say growing community of illegal immigrants in Texas development invites cartel activity is a national security issue. Here's what we have. A Texas land developer has established a sprawling settlement north of Houston where thousands of illegal immigrants are settled, raising concerns among experts and elected officials that the development 400 miles in the interior of the United States could become a strategic asset for cartels. Located in Liberty County, Texas, near the small town of Plum Grove, the Colony Ridge development is a sprawling community that, based on analysis of publicly available information, is now over 60 square miles and nearly the size of the nation's capital, D.C. Its population is estimated to be anywhere between 50,000 to 75,000, and it's growing rapidly thanks to a marketing plan targeted at Texas Hispanic population. The Daily Wire surveyed the development by helicopter to assess the true extent of its growth. The flight began in the wealthy Woodlands neighborhood. It was only minutes before the designer homes and pools gave way to half-built homes, dilapidated trailers, and heaps of trash. Houses on the ground fly flags of foreign countries, and many homes display their addresses on spray-painted pieces of plywood. Many structures, some of which are not hooked up to running water, were under construction, while others were unfinished but didn't appear to be actively getting worked on. Despite what appears to be poor living conditions throughout much of the development, Colony Ridge is exploding. The view from the sky reveals a sprawling labyrinth of roundabouts and endless rows of sidewalks, streets, and empty plots waiting to be developed. And what is this? Colony Ridge, owned and operated by developer William Trey Harris, is rapidly expanding, at least in part due to a financing arrangement that makes it possible for illegal aliens to buy land deep in the heart of Texas. While traditional financing methods require credit ratings and prove income, Tom Bedsman, a national security fellow at the Center for Immigration Studies, told Daily Wire that buyers at Colony Ridge are able to circumvent the usual requirements, even dodging the need to provide a social security number. Because with a traditional bank loan, you need to be able to show that you have a credit rating and prove income. Bedsman said, adding that buyers at Colony Ridge are asked to pay as little as a few $100s as a down payment. The loan is directly from the developer, bypassing traditional mortgages. And while the buyer might pay high interest rates near 15%, it's a great deal for someone with no other option to buy land in this country, Bedsman explained. So let's break down what we're seeing. A magnet for illegal immigrants. Why? Cash deals, low down payments, and high interest rates. Let me tell you what this will lead to. I visited Sweden, and this was several years ago. It's going on, like, what was it now, 6 years? 6 years ago. I went to Sweden for this story called Last Night in Sweden. Donald Trump gave a speech where he said, you see what's going on last night in Sweden? And there was nothing happened last night in Sweden. Trump, of course, was referring to a documentary by Ami Horowitz. I believe it was Ami Horowitz, that aired on Fox News. In Sweden, here's what people were seeing, mass crime. Or I should say crime at a greater degree than they'd ever experienced before in the city of Malmö. Of course, what was really happening was that there were some migrants causing a lot of crime. Crime was on the rise. And the city went from one murder the year before to 13, which is not that many relative to Chicago, but shocking to the residents. How could these murders be happening? Now, it was an incorrect assessment that many people were blaming the Afghan and Syrian refugees. The reality is, it was the children, for the most part, of Somali refugees. And here's where it begins. There was a story I was told about Sertalia, where a vehicle drives up with a guy hanging out of the sunroof with a fully automatic rifle unloading on the bank. That's what they told us. Here's what happened. In the 90s, refugees flooded to Sweden. Sweden opened its doors and said, we will bring in the refugees, and we're going to put them in a singular place. Most refugees went to centralized hubs. Why? They could go wherever they wanted, and they chose to be around each other. Why wouldn't you? It's really great when you're traveling abroad, and you hear someone speaking North American dialect English, or English for that matter. You can communicate, it's fantastic. So if you were coming from Somalia as a refugee, and you come into the country, and there's a community of people who all speak the same languages, you of course will live by them. And this is what happened to a neighborhood called Whitby, which has become rife with crime, and many people have warned, do not go there. It's really funny how they desperately try to lie about their problems, but that's the nature of psychotic collectivists. You see, when these kids grew up in Sweden, but were viewed as foreigners, they were detached from the greater society. They did not view the police as having any authority over them. It doesn't matter. We see elements of this in the United States, of course. But what happens when you bring in people who fly foreign flags and they come and centralize in this area? A recipe for disaster. Why? They're not being properly integrated in a way they can survive. They're not going to be able to make money all just living in this one big community where they pay massive interest rates on these loans. There's not going to be industry for them to make a lot of money, and they will struggle to pay their bills. And then we're going to see a mini mortgage crisis. Yeah, when you give out loans to people who don't have cash and don't have jobs and can't legally work, what do you think's going to happen? The economy here will fall into a crisis. It will lead to a disaster sort among this population. And as they are isolated from the rest of the community, society, government, etc., they're not going to view outside neighboring communities as having any real authority over them. If the police come in and start telling them what to do, they're going to say, you're not part of this, you have nothing to do with this, we don't care. And thus you will start to see an explosion of violence. I believe that makes the most sense. It's not a guarantee, but I think that's what you should be concerned about. Funny thing happened when I went to Rickety. I went during the day. We went right in the heart of the day when most people are there, and we encountered a problem. Young men started screaming, yelling threats, and the police warned us if we didn't leave, they could start throwing stones. We better get out now. I asked the officer, we should leave. He said, yes. And I'm like, will you follow us? I was like, yeah, we'll follow you out. I filmed it all happening, and I had a small GoPro. And I said that we were getting an escort. The police denied that was an escort, despite having told us that we need to leave and saying that they would follow us out for our safety. The media then said it never happened, and I lied, despite the fact that I put out a video proving it really did happen. You see, something funny happens. A journalist then claims Rigby's totally safe. Shows up at 2 in the morning wearing this coat where you can't see and a hood up, and stands outside of Rigby saying, see, I'm fine, I'm fine. And everyone responded, well, of course you're going to be safe in the middle of the night in a shopping district. Nobody's there. The businesses are all closed. So how about you go during the day with a camera? The funny thing is, several journalists told me that their reporters had been physically attacked in this location for the same reason that I've explained. And I said, why don't you run that story? And they said, who cares? And I said, I don't understand why you're acting like I'm saying something crazy. When you're telling me it's already been reported by you that's happened to your own journalists. One photographer got punched in the face. Because it's all one big scam to cover up their problems, to pretend like it's not happening. Because the people want solutions to this. They don't want it to get worse. And so this is where we're currently at. A declaration of emergency in Eagle Pass. Why? Well, because they want more money and funding to illegally bring in these non-citizens to give them your stuff. That's it. I saw a great tweet. It said, the strategy today is not to fix the problem, it is to get so rich that the problems don't apply to you. And that's the reality. We talk about the AI revolution, the AI apocalypse, and I gotta tell you, my friends, we are in for something dark. Because I predicted the probability of the investor economy. We had a labor economy, manufacturing economy, a service economy now, where there were a lot of questions about a service sector economy. Could there be an economy based on people just providing services but not producing anything? Yeah, you can. We have an influencer economy where the more eyeballs you get, the more money you make. And another component will be added due to automation. As Taco Bell, McDonald's, and other restaurants switch from regular people working the jobs to machines doing it all, and you can. They've already got machines that can make a McDonald's burger faster and better and more accurate than the average McDonald's worker. You can work from a kiosk, it'll make it right there on the spot, deliver right to you. You don't need a person. So if nobody's working here, what'll happen? People will start investing, and they'll make money off of their dividends. So you won't have employees at McDonald's, you'll have investors at McDonald's through apps like Robinhood. It'll become so easy to invest that people will be like, yeah, I make like X amount of dollars every month. Here are the companies that I support, it's all automated. Labor costs will be low, dividends will be high. But this means that poor people will be excised. It will be an economy for the ultra wealthy. And that's the race everyone's engaged in right now. Yes, let the illegal immigrants come in, and they will gut the system and impoverish more people. What's happening is a flood, an economic flood. And as the waters rise and wash the poor and the working class away, the wealthier individuals can climb higher and higher and higher, exploiting the crisis. And then eventually create a two-tier class system, which we basically already have. We know that if you're super rich, fines mean nothing to you. $50 parking ticket, that's just the cost of parking. And if you're poor, it can destroy your life. They'll put a boot on your car, you can't go to work anymore, you get pinned down. If you're rich, the bank gives you money. Yeah. And if you're poor, they charge you money. I despise how that system works. You put $1 million in the bank right now, what are we looking at? A lot of these banks are doing 5% as interest rates. 5%. That's amazing. That somebody would get $50,000 per year just because they have $1 million. Isn't that crazy? And you work to make $40,000 a year, working your hands to the bone. A rich person who just has that money doesn't have to work at all. Don't get me wrong, inflation is ripping things apart, so you can't just live off $1 million in a savings account. But you can adequately invest it. And the truth is now, as it's been for a very long time, if you are rich, it's what I refer to as breaking the barrier. You make so much money that you will never be poor. That all the labor of everyone else will come to you for free. And it's true. Think about it this way. Let's say you develop an app. You know, you're in college, 24. You make an app. And then you get a bunch of users, and then Microsoft comes along and says, this is a really, really great app. We want it. We want you out. We want to own it. All the IP. $5 million cash deal on the spot. What do you say? And you're thinking, like, I just made one app. I'll sell it. No problem. So you do. You're then given $5 million, for which you got to pay taxes. And you end up with like 3.2 or something. $3.2 million. You put it in a series of money market accounts, not even proper financial investment. Just like literally, I'm putting an account. Apple's got 4%. Goldman's got 4%. You can even do, there's a stock accounts. That's, I think Robinhood goes like 5% or something, or 4.5. You've got, where's the bank? I can't remember the name of the bank. But there's like 5%. Let's say you put $3 million split across all these accounts at 5%. You now make $150,000 per year not doing anything. You have to work. It's free stuff. Meanwhile, a farmer is working his hands to the bone to produce food and then sells it in the market. And you wake up at noon, get up, check your accounts, and say, oh, my interest got paid. You know, what are you pulling in with 150K? You're pulling in about $11,000 per month. You look end of the month, $11,000 or $12,000 comes in. You didn't do any work, sat around playing video games all day, and that's the economy today. How many of you are working your hands to the bone? And how many people have gotten to that point by breaking the barrier, as I would call it, the barrier by which you no longer have to work and you're independently wealthy? There's not that many millionaires. This is not a very, very common thing. My point is this. This migrant crisis will exacerbate this. It will make it so that you struggle more and more and more, and you will not reach the top. It will isolate those who are already wealthy and make them wealthier. More mouths to feed, more work to be done, more control. You decentralize the power, the votes, the authority of the working class, and the wealthier maintain more. The more there are at the bottom fighting over what scraps they have, the less likely they are to be competing with you at the top. This is the crisis we are facing. And that's why I think people need to pay attention to it. But, you know, the one thing I'll just say is it is despicable to see these border guards opening the doors and saying, come on in, we don't care about this country. I say that's a seditious conspiracy. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.
What is the real story of January 6th? Many people have asked that question. Some people have described what happened on that day as an insurrection. But is that really right?
I'm answering the question. Give me an opportunity.
Guys, I cannot wait to show you the sound coming to us from Capitol Hill. Merrick Garland is totally taking the fifth on this one. We're going to talk about interest rates too. The Federal Reserve, well, not raising. So, even though we have 3.5% inflation, for some reason, they're going to continue letting rates stay, frankly, lower than they should be, given that we've got so much inflation. They just keep kicking the can down the road. That's what they do. Portions of the show brought to you by Legacy Precious Metals, LegacyPMInvestments.com. That's where you should go if you're interested in investing in gold or silver. 1-866-589-0560. I'll put all the information in the show notes, as always. But give them a ring if you're worried about inflation. We can talk about the Fed. The incentives are all kind of messed up, and they got rid of all their big stars. So why do you watch anymore? I mean, the good news, I guess, is that Jesse Waters is probably a lot less expensive than Tucker Carlson. But if Jesse Waters is smart, he's going to figure out he can pull a Tucker or a Trish or a Megan or a Lou or a Bill O'Reilly. Like, any of these people that are talented enough can go out on their own. Therefore, why would you work for Fox if they're telling you what you can and cannot do, and micromanaging to a level that really nowadays has just become excessive and unacceptable? Well, you wouldn't, right? Not if you have other options. So I guess they got to make sure that they pay their people well enough, but not too well. Now, you don't want them to be too comfortable, right? Because they might just actually be able to go do their own thing. Anyway, this book is kind of interesting. I've seen some excerpts from it, and look, I think that Michael Wolff, as a reporter, he has his strengths and he has his weaknesses like anyone else. He did that book on Trump. It turned out not all of it was totally on the up and up, and I'm sure there's parts of this one too that are suffering from that. In fact, we've already learned through the CNN reporters that did a deep dive on this, and apparently Michael didn't go and double check everything with the Fox PR department. His reason for that was because he figured Fox PR would just tell him what he wanted to hear and kind of stonewall him. Nonetheless, when you're coming out with sort of interesting tidbits like this, you want to make sure, right, that you get your facts straight. But I'll share with you some of the things. I mean, I think there's no love lost in terms of Rupert Murdoch and Donald Trump. That's pretty clear. That's pretty clear. I think that's always been quite clear. I think there's always been a tension there, and probably with any president, any Republican president, there would certainly be a kind of tension because
Okay, I will be right back in just a few moments, and I will keep this going, but I'll be out of the chair, but I'll be listening from the kitchen. Give me a few moments.
Would not be surprised if there's some kind of entitlement there, right, from the Murdoch family, because they're saying, hey, listen, we run Fox News, and we run the Wall Street Journal, and the New York Post, so guess what? We had a hand in putting you there. So now what are you going to do for us, right? What have you done for us lately? And if you have people that are, well, say, not necessarily playing that game, well, you're not getting what you paid for, so to speak, right? So Rupert Murdoch's like, hold on. This Donald Trump fellow, he's not doing X, Y, and Z, and I thought he would. By the way, I think that's healthy. You don't want a republic or a democracy in which you've got a few bigwigs controlling policy. I mean, that's an extremely dangerous and slippery slope type of scenario. So in a really good system of government, no, you don't want the big money controlling everything. And you certainly, I looked at Fox for a long time and kind of questioned whether it runs the risk of being viewed as a monopoly, right? You don't want one entity controlling so much power and effectively having the ability to control the office of the President of the United States. But simultaneously, I think it was a love-hate relationship between Murdoch and Trump because Murdoch knew what the guy rates, right? And if we cut the cord with him, as they did, keep in mind, and as they wanted to until they came crawling back, if we got the cord with him, then do we risk no longer being on top? And we saw evidence of that, of course. Newsmax has been gaining on them. OAN is out there waiting in the wings. And you have other networks, News Nation, again, not so much a conservative network. They tried very hard to be right down the center. But hey, anything over the extreme left that you see over at MSNBC and CNN. But, there just were a few too many things, perhaps, on the way to the forum that really freaked out the establishment. Whether it was me saying, hey, coronavirus has been completely politicized to the point where this is just nuts and you shouldn't shut down the country. That was my one big criticism, frankly, right, of Donald Trump. He shut down the country, which was sort of playing into the hands of the left at the time and causing all kinds of ripple effects and controversies from which we're still suffering, right? What do you think the 3.5% unemployment is? Forgive me, inflation. We also have increasing unemployment, but 3.5% inflation is about. I mean, we're still dealing with the hangover effects of having shut down for so long. But there were other things going on. There were a lot of people within the establishment that really were getting antsy because they didn't like Fox and they certainly didn't like its talent, whether that be me or whether that be Tucker Carlson. I mean, wow, I actually think that Rupert Murdoch parting ways with Tucker Carlson had a lot to do with pressure from government, including Chuck Schumer, including AOC. In fact, AOC made a comment on MSNBC on Jen Psaki's weekend program the Sunday before the Monday that they parted ways with Tucker Carlson. But here, let me show you, is Chuck Schumer reacting, ladies and gentlemen, to some of the tapes that Tucker Carlson put forward. Tapes that, by the way, like we all own as taxpayers, right? Like we should have access to those tapes. Why were we only allowed to see Nancy Pelosi's daughter's tapes? Why not run it all? Put it out there for everybody to see. Here we go, watch.
Last night, millions of Americans tuned into one of the most shameful hours we have ever seen on cable television. Fox News host Tucker Carlson ran a lengthy segment last night arguing the January 6th Capitol attack was not a violent insurrection. I don't think I've ever seen a primetime cable news anchor manipulate his viewers the way Mr. Carlson did last night. I don't think I've ever seen an anchor treat the American people and American democracy with such disdain.
There's nothing that shameful has ever appeared on American television in the history of the medium. And so, on the basis of that, the self-evident outrage of showing a public video that it paid for and has a right to see, Chuck Schumer called for the censorship of that video. Any information, he did not dispute that was accurate, that damages a storyline his party constructed and used must be squelched. And Schumer's explicit on that point. Because that video contradicted lies told by the Democratic Party, Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, Chuck Schumer demanded that our bosses pull this show off the air.
He's going to come back tonight with another segment. Fox News should tell him not to. Fox News, Rupert Murdoch, tell Carlson not to run a second segment of lies. I urge Fox News to order Carlson to cease propagating the big lie on his network and to level with their viewers about the truth behind the efforts to mislead the public. Conduct like theirs is just asking for another January 6th to happen.
Woo! Okay, you see what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is that there was just a really big emphasis there on doing whatever they could, the Democrats that is, to ensure that in fact Tucker Carlson was not on the air. That there were things that shouldn't be talked about. I mean, whether you go back to coronavirus days, and a story came out today, actually about the doctor out in Stanford, at Stanford University, who taught public health, economics, and policy. And he had authored a paper in conjunction with Oxford and Cambridge. And he had all the people within the health department, HHS, at the Biden administration, telling social media companies, you gotta take this down. And what did they do? They did. So look, I get that there's scary times. I get that Rupert Murdoch and company and family, et cetera, were scared. You know what? Like they were frightened. I mean, he's like what, 93, right? Like frightened he's going to die of COVID himself, right? Like he's worried. I get that. And then on top of that, he's worried that his entire empire would just go up in smoke because Chuck Schumer decided he didn't like what was being broadcast. And you got a Democrat administration. You have a team over here of never Trumpers led by Bill Kristol, and they got a lobbying group saying that they want to pull the licenses away from Fox broadcasters and the local stations, saying they don't have a right to these licenses. Don't forget, Rupert Murdoch had already gone through that whole Sky deal over in the UK. They decided over there that he was not a proper enough broadcaster. You know, he didn't play by the rules that they deemed acceptable there in the UK, and he couldn't get that deal through. So I'm sure that part of that was, of course, coloring his decisions in terms of what he ultimately decided to do. I mean, I just keep getting back to the place where he really badly managed, and so we didn't have a head honcho kind of taking the bull by the horns, so to speak, and helping to run that newsroom, and therefore make sure that he didn't wind up in situations where you're paying nearly $1 billion for the likes of Dominion. How do you like that? They get this big honcho lawyer, Dean, in there. This is the guy who actually drafted the Patriot Act under Bush. So he comes in to quote unquote run Fox News. I mean, they have the former assistant to Roger Ailes, who worked her way up. You know, God bless her. She's a hard worker. She's done a great job, but not that great, right? Who becomes the head, the CEO of Fox News. But was that sort of just in name only? Because they get this other lawyer behind the scenes running the show who's being paid oodles of money, some $10 million a year, some reports for $23 million parachute when he left, plus a 2-year consulting gig to the tune of $5 million for having cost the company nearly $1 billion. I mean, this is what is so crazy to me, right? Like, how are you ever going to move forward, Mr. Murdoch, when you got people that clearly do not know what they're doing? You know what? You guys should have either fought that one to they're in or just settled it initially, like for nothing. Instead, you paid $787 million plus another 23 on the way out the door to the lawyer, plus another 10 or 5, whatever it was, for him to consult for the next couple. I mean, it's like almost comical, but it's so obvious. You know, there's a guy, God rest his soul, right? Roger Ailes, that built the place. And we all know the bad stuff about him. But on the other hand, and this is not to condone anything, by the way, this is, you know what, I feel for all of those women who've heard their stories, and it's horrible. So it's not to condone or to ignore in any way their concerns, but I'll tell you this. I mean, the guy ran a good shop, right? Because you didn't have this kind of craziness. They weren't paying $787 billion. I don't think you would have had a Dominion problem. I don't think you would have had a Smartmatic problem. I don't think you would have had a Carlson problem. I think I'd probably still be there. So that's the good news. I'm not. Nor stuck. The good news is, ladies and gentlemen, anyway, let's get back to Michael Wolff's book. Michael Wolff with some explosive comments, which I actually don't find that explosive. I've said forever, like, this is not an organization that can survive. He foresees the end of Fox News. Duh. Like, if nothing else, we're all over here. We're streaming. We're in the podcast world. We're live on Facebook right now. We are live on YouTube. I'm over on Rumble. I'm over on Twitter. This is the future, ladies and gentlemen, in a 3D world where we can all talk to each other. It is a very, very different experience, obviously, than what you would get when one is on Fox. So anyway, this is the book, Fire and Fury, it is called, The End of Fox News and the Murdoch Dynasty, and it's coming out, I guess, September 26th, and he's predicting the end of the dynasty, the family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Look, there were a lot of problems with Tucker Carlson's ousting, gets into some of that. He also says something interesting, which is that there were times that Rupert Murdoch wished Trump was dead. Wow, okay, tell us how you really feel. Doesn't surprise me, because again, Trump was a problem for the Murdochs and for their empire. He was not controllable. And they wanted somebody who was more controllable. I'm sure that Bush perhaps was. You know, Bush, looking back on all this in some ways, you know, the Bush and the Bush family, they made out like bandits here, because now it's like, oh wow, you know, they were the left before, and then Trump came in, and it was like, they looked like saints, right? But I remember George Bush Sr. before he died, lovely man. I met with him. My thanks to his nephew who set up this meeting in Kennebunk, Fort Maine. I was there with my family, and I went and saw him. He was in very, very ill health, but he wanted to meet anyway. It was during sort of the height of everything that was going on problematic-wise there at Fox. It was during 2016, and he was very thankful to Fox and to Roger Ailes for, he said, helping to really build his career. He wasn't sure how he would have ever been president had it not been for their help. So I think there's some truth to that. He was being very humble in how he said that, but I think that the media does have a tremendous influence on things, or it did. It did in the old days when there were only so many players. I mean, I tell my kids, they're like, what are you talking about? You know, when we talk about, you know, there was only back in the day ABC, CBS, and NBC, and PBS. As a kid, I was only allowed to watch PBS, Sesame Street and Electric Company. That was like it. And then maybe Little House on the Prairie once a week. And that was all you had. And you know what? If you didn't catch it, you missed it. Good luck. You know, now we get to go watch it all, the reruns. But those options didn't exist. And so in terms of the nightly news scenario, we had a very controlled environment. And then along came cable. Wow, right? And a big story, as in the whole Monica Lewinsky Clinton thing. And so with that, people were sort of glued to their TVs in new ways. And that introduction of cable changed everything. You didn't need network news anymore. You know, the Dan Rathers and Tom Brokaws and Peter Jennings of the world became suddenly passé. And the interesting thing now is it's happening again. And the companies that can keep up with that transition, and I know you all hate Disney, but I think Disney might stand a chance. It's a wild gamble, right? They're rolling the dice here. They want to get rid of ABC. They want to get rid of ESPN. They want to get rid of these legacy businesses and go all in on streaming. That's taking a big chance, but it's the chance you need to take if you're going to survive in this new environment. And I think that no one's willing to take that chance at Fox, in part because, hey, why mess with a good thing? I mean, the cable companies get paid a whole lot of money in order for people to have Fox, and people want Fox because they want to watch Jesse at 8 o'clock, or whoever, right? Like they want the 5. They want that programming. But if you, as a network, if you're Rupert Murdoch, you say, forget it, we're going to go stream, well, that's taking a big chance, and you're not going to make the same kind of money in the beginning, right, that you would when you're getting paid by cable companies. So this indeed is effectively the problem, but eventually, you know, it's all going to change. And you get viewers that, you know, unfortunately, we're all getting older, right? We're all getting older, and the viewers are getting older, and the younger viewers, or the kids, as they say nowadays, they're all over here. They're all like, they're on social media. They're not like TV. Like I have to actually sit there and flip the channel. Like it's foreign to them. I think I watch a commercial. Probably not. Here's the interesting thing. I was with one of my kids the other day, and I was trying to watch this operatic soprano, because, you know, I love opera, singing Ave Maria, and she's just a beautiful singer. Aida Gifilani? I'll have to double check that. Anyway, gorgeous singer. Beautiful young woman. Unfortunately for her, she's Russian, so probably her career is like on the, you know, not exactly on the upswing right now. We'll talk about it in just a little bit. But anyway, I had to sit through a commercial first, and I was like, you know, I'm trying to hit skip ad. And my daughter looked at me and said, oh, it's only 10 seconds. And I was like, wow, she's willing to sit through that 10-second ad to watch that clip. It's just, young kids think about this all so differently. But would she be willing to sit through commercials absorbing live TV? you know, for what, 4 minutes, 3 minutes of commercials, whatever they give you? Not really. Moreover, she doesn't want to sit in front of the TV with the remote. It's like a very, very different relationship. So I agree with Michael Wolff in that this medium is over. Fox News is over, and it's for reasons that could they control? Sure. I mean, again, I think, forgive me, I think he's 92, it's 93. You just, you know, are the sons that invested? I think one of them is just mortified that his family is in this business, and the other one's like, well, you know, I just bought a $151 million, whatever it was, house in Beverly Hills. So, you know, you can't argue with what it's paying you. But he really.
So if you're wondering, I'm going to go the chicken soup route tonight.
Murdoch does not particularly like Donald Trump. And so again, I'm just looking through some of the headlines, which are funny, and some of the colorful language that apparently was used by some members of the family. It's entertaining. I mean, there's a lot here. I have to read it to really fully absorb what's going on. And Michael Wolff, I think he needs to take it with a grain of salt. He's never really liked Fox. I remember once when I first got the Fox, I'd actually booked him as a guest because, well, he used to come on the Bloomberg show, and I didn't know they had bad blood or anything. And PR was like, what are you doing? I can't remember if we got him on or not. I have to remember, because then it was like, oh, to cancel him. They didn't necessarily want to cancel him because that would tip him off that he wasn't necessarily the most favored nation. But those were games that I was introduced to that I didn't quite, you know, I hate to say I was this naive, but I didn't understand that sort of dynamic. I mean, I get it. He had said a lot of bad things about Fox, and so they didn't want him on the air, and I didn't know that or have the history to have been able to understand that. But this is interesting. It looks as though this, you know, he's got a lot packed in here. He's got a lot in terms of the Tucker firing. I do think, as I just showed you, that the Chuck Schumer push to really put the pressure on Murdoch was significant. According to Michael Wolff, Murdoch was like, what do I do? Do I get rid of Hannity or do I get rid of Tucker? And he was like, what's the most bang for my buck? This is what I'm saying, though. Like, if you're Hannity or Tucker, like, who needs it? If I'm Hannity right now, I'm like, you know, thank you very much, guys. I have my nice radio show. I can do everything I want on my own. And I can probably make just as much money, or close to it, maybe more, and not deal with your insanity. So I think they're going to have a really hard time hanging on to people. And I think as more and more slough away, they're going to be left with a shell. And the viewers left saying, well, I don't really know if I trust what this anchor is saying, because this anchor can't be so forthcoming. This opinion host can't be so forthcoming, because that's just the way of the world right now. So we'll see. I want to turn to Merrick Garland, because Merrick Garland is getting grilled on Capitol Hill today. I mean, there's some people that are just, you know, totally building him up onto some kind of pedestal, which is just funny to watch. But let's start with the headline here, because you know, of course, Hunter Biden is in deep doo-doo. And that's his dad, Pops, is in really big doo-doo. I mean, he's got this impeachment inquiry going on. I'm still waiting for somebody to subpoena Hunter there. I mean, we kind of need to know stuff. It's going to get harder now that there's a special counsel involved, though. Anyway, so one of the gripes about the special counsel, David Weiss, was that when he was the U.S. Attorney in Delaware, he didn't have full range to actually do all that he needed and wanted to do in terms of going after Hunter Biden. And the reason, allegedly, according to the whistleblowers, was because, you know, he had kind of a powerful dad. And so they were getting roadblocks everywhere they went. And finally, Gary Shapley and another one, the two of them came out and they said, listen, enough is enough. Like, we don't have a political axe to grind here, but we're really kind of upset that we can't actually do our jobs because this guy is related to somebody pretty powerful. Well, the question then became, what exactly was the DOJ saying? What kind of pressure was on David Weiss? And why on earth did Merrick Garland put him in as special counsel? I know he wanted to be special counsel. Why do you feel he had to be special counsel? He couldn't do enough on his own. And then it's against the rules. Like, legally, you're not even supposed to put somebody who is already working for the government in as special counsel. That kind of destroys the whole point of special counsel. And so Merrick Garland was asked about this, and this is fascinating, this exchange, because he's effectively taking the fifth, for goodness sakes. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. And this tells me there's and there, and we need to ask questions. Do we not, ladies and gentlemen? Watch, tell me yourself.
Can you tell us about any briefings or discussions that you personally have had with Mr. Weiss regarding any and all federal investigations of Hunter Biden?
I'm going to say again, I promised the Senate that I would not interfere with Mr. Weiss.
So you have not, no, I'm just, under oath today, your testimony is, you have not had any discussions with Mr. Weiss about this matter?
Under oath, my testimony today is that I promised the Senate I would not intrude in his investigation. I do not intend to discuss the internal Justice Department deliberations, whether or not I had them.
Oh, okay, so your testimony today is you're not going to tell us whether you had discussions with Mr. Weiss.
My testimony today is I told the committee that I would not interfere. I made clear that Mr. Weiss would have the authority to bring cases that he thought were appropriate.
Okay.
Mr. Weiss's
right. Okay, please stop. For second time, sir. Are you aware that FBI officials have come before this committee and they have stated that there was a cumbersome bureaucratic process that Mr. Weiss had to go through to bring charges in another judicial district? You know that?
I'm not aware, but that's not true. There's nothing cumbersome about the process.
So those whistleblowers are lying to us under oath? Those whistleblowers are lying?
Please say that. Their description of the process is cumbersome is an opinion. It's not a fact question. All I have to do is...
Okay, all right, let me get to the fact. Mr. Weiss has been the lead prosecutor on the Hunter Biden case since 2018, correct?
I'm sorry?
Mr. Weiss has been the lead prosecutor on the Hunter Biden case since 2018. Now, here's the question.
He's been the lead prosecutor since he was appointed by President Trump.
Okay, why, let me ask you, why has the Justice Department dragged this investigation out for so long? Does it really take years to determine if Hunter Biden lied on a federal form related to purchasing a firearm?
Mr. Weiss was a long-time career prosecutor. President Trump appointed him as...
You're not answering the question. Is that standard procedure? Should it take that long to make such a simple determination?
I'm answering the question. Give me an opportunity to do so.
Okay.
He was charged with that investigation under the previous administration. He's continued. He knows how to conduct investigations, and I have not intruded or attempted to evaluate that because that was the promise I made to the Senate.
The whistleblowers gave us testimony about serious misconduct of the Justice Department in regards to the preferential treatment afforded Hunter Biden. Has your office requested an investigation into that?
There are well-known processes for how whistleblowers make their claims. I'm a strong proponent of whistleblowers and a strong defender. We have an Inspector General's office. We have an Office of Professional Responsibility. That is the way in which complaints from whistleblowers should be and are appropriately handled.
Is that not great, right? Like, I'm looking at your comments here. Everybody weighing in. Mike Johnson from Louisiana, way to go. Smart guy. I wonder, he's probably a lawyer by background. They all seem to be. Anyway, very, very good question of Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland is basically saying, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you, which tells me he's got something to tell him, right? Like, how could he not? I mean, really, just incredible. I mean, I don't need to relitigate the whole thing, but when you hear CNN and MSNBC say, oh, there's no evidence to lead to an impeachment, just remember, you know what there is? There's all these bank records. All of these bank records are looking at Burisma Holdings, sending all this money to Rosemont Seneca. Burisma Holdings is that energy company. Interestingly, I find it weird that Hunter was always representing energy companies for all the, we don't want fossil fuels. Like, somehow Hunter's lobbying gigs all centered around these energy companies. Nat Gas there in Ukraine, an energy company in China that he was working with, or, you know, giving him diamond.
Oh, please, Trish Reagan, read Peter Schweizer. Because that'll make sense. There's an actual name for it. It's called smash and grab operations, and that's what they're doing.
Dinners in Florida. How is that not like some kind of major money laundering, tax evasion, something, right? I mean, for everybody to sit there and say, no, there's no evidence. Come on, guys. You know what? There's some weird stuff. Now, you may say, oh, well, we haven't been able to link it to Joe Biden's bank accounts. Well, I'm sorry. Like, there's still plenty of other stuff. There just is. I mean, and yet, it's somehow the Republicans, the MAGA ones, because, you know, they want to distinguish what they're losing that is, want to just tear us apart some more. The MAGA Republicans that are going to just destroy our democracy and our great Republican break.
For all the time they spend attacking me and my plan, here's what they never do. They never talk about what they want to do. No, think about it. They tell you what they're against. What are they for? It's like they want to keep it a secret. I don't blame them.
Come on. This is, you know, that's their party line. You're going to hear more of it. I think they're kind of freaking out because there's a new survey today, a new poll. It's just basically 70% of America no longer has any faith in its institutions. But why would it? I mean, look at our border. Here, this is actually coming to us. We're just talking about Fox. From Fox, so thank you for this, Fox. Here they are looking at all migrants flying across the border.
So every person who was just let through is appears to be a single adult male. Brian, if we can turn around really quick. I don't know if they're all with the same group. Let me try to ask them really quick. Hold up. They're on this one. Ghana. You're from Ghana. Okay. You're from Haiti. And why did you decide to come right now? Why did you decide to come right now? ¿Por qué decidiste venir aquí ahora en los Estados Unidos? You live in Chile? But you're from Haiti? Okay, so why did you decide to come? He says he wants to live here in the United States. Where is everybody else from? ¿Hay alguien aquí que puede hablar inglés? Where? Haiti? Why did you decide to come here? Brazil. You're from Brazil.
So you get some people from Brazil, from Haiti. They're not from Mexico. They're certainly not women and children. They give us a big song and dance about the women and children. Now, again, that's the same example, and it's just for one moment in time. But I think overall, what we're dealing with, of course, is increasing a mega problem at the border. Joe Biden has no solution. Kamala Harris won't even go to the border, yet she's been charged with it. And somehow, Attorney General Merrick Garland, though he has promised to deal with this fentanyl crisis, which is severe. I mean, every day you pick up the paper and more headlines about people dying from this. I have a lot to say on that. I'm going to save it for a later episode because it's like we're reliving history. Just think about those opium wars back in the 1800s in China. They also had a very porous southern border, and at that time, it was the Western Europeans that were bringing in all these drugs, opium being the main one, right, that came in through that porous southern border. Nobody could do anything about it. This is a payback because the fentanyl is being manufactured in China, comes from Mexico, right up through our southern border. And yet these idiots on Capitol Hill, here's Democrat Lou Correa, who's like somehow praising this administration. I mean, you keep drinking the Kool-Aid, buddy. You know, just because you say it doesn't mean it's true.
Want to turn our attention to something very interesting, more important. The most important thing on Main Street today in my district is drug addiction, narcotics, trafficking, fentanyl. I'm going to quote you June 23rd of this year. You said, I open quote, the U.S. government continues to do everything in our power to disrupt fentanyl trafficking and to prevent more of our communities from being devastated by the fentanyl epidemic. We want to say we are targeting every step of the movement, manufacturing, and the sale of fentanyl from start to finish. So, Garland, I believe that the only thing the cartel leaders fear.
Look who's sitting behind this fellow. It's Mr. Nadler.
Is the United States prison. I want to thank you for the good job. You recently extradited Oviedo Guzman Lopez, El Chapo's son. Thank you very much for that good job.
Yeah. All right. Like, what world are we living in, right? Where they're doing a good job? I'm sorry, but the border situation is totally out of control. We have more and more people coming into this country illegally every day. Do we need to go back to the video out of New York or out of Chicago where residents are flipping out? Or how about the mayor himself, Eric Adams, who's like, this is out of control, who tells us New York City is no longer going to be New York City if they keep sending these migrants to New York City, right? I mean, here we go. Here's the Chicago residents. They're totally livid about the whole thing. I don't want them there.
Stop stuffing sopping wet bags of ice into your cooler. I've got a brand new fridge on wheels that keeps your food ice cold with
Take them someplace else or send them back to Venezuela. I don't care where they go. This is wrong. You got 73% of the people homeless in the city are black people.
Mr. Boy, let me tell you something, New Yorkers. Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month. One time we just
by the way. The president has done more to secure the border and to deal with this issue of immigration than anybody else. He really has.
I don't want them there. Take them someplace else or send them back to Venezuela. I don't care where they go.
All right. So you know what? The people are not happy. KJP, you can pretend and say he's done more than anyone, but you got your own Democrat mayor there in New York going, oh my gosh, like, we're kind of screwed here. Like, New York is not going to be New York anymore because you guys can't get a handle on this. You got people in Chicago saying, what the heck? Why are you giving 6 months free hotel to these migrants that are coming across the border along with phones and this, that, and the other? Like, it's totally out of control. You got to ask yourself why. I mean, there's a whole conspiracy thing. You could go down that path, but I'll save that one for another day. I do think it's interesting when you consider China right now and you consider, like, they have a very long memory and they may be like, well, they did this to us back in the day. I mean, we have a big problem. We have a big problem with this fentanyl addiction. And nobody's doing anything about anything. Thank you very much. I mean, that's what's just so terribly frightening. As I mentioned at the start of the show, our main sponsor here from the very beginning, from day one, has been LegacyPMInvestments.com. LegacyPMInvestments.com, 1-866-589-0560. Just a terrific group there. We are very fond of those guys. Charles is going to be on the show next week. I was kind of hoping he'd come on. That IRA, Inflation Reduction Act, which just added to, ladies and gentlemen, more inflation. So now the Fed comes out today, says it's going to hold steady, but they're penciling in one more increase this year, which is kind of funny because they're going to so mess themselves up. They don't want to have to raise rates right before an election, but that's what they're going to do. And so we're going to have more inflation, which is going to cause not just them, they're going to have to do it this next time, but they're going to have to do it again. And they're going to have to do it again. And what do you know? You run the risk of a real recession right before an election. So wow, they've got to be really freaked out about Donald Trump winning. When you look at all these polls and you see the success, right, of all of these polls right now, and you see that Donald Trump is climbing, and you think about the economy, and you think about war, and you think about gas prices, which, hey, last month were up 10.4%. And you think about the border. Well, that is a recipe for getting Donald Trump elected again. It is. You know, Rupert Murdoch won't be happy. Yeah, he's really, really not going to be happy. But that is the people saying, okay, this isn't working for us. And we don't believe you, which is why the new poll shows 70% of people no longer have any faith in our institutions. The more you try and muzzle us, the more we lack trust, the more we lack faith. And that is, I think, fundamentally, really and truly the issue here. It's great to see you guys. I love your responses here, by the way. I love your responses on what we saw from Garland and the sort of gymnastics he was doing, right, linguistically. And the guy from Louisiana just wasn't having any of it. Very, very interesting to see. We do have, for sure, a border problem. Some of you like Spencer are pointing to George Soros and this idea of an open society. And that...
So, if there's a reason that people don't trust the media anymore, whose fault is that, eh? People that were already popular, have their name out there already. I wouldn't trust anybody unless you're starting.
That's all great, like in the panacea of things, but there is something called reality. I think the distinction, the difference right now between the most liberal people and those that are independents and in the middle and those that are right of the middle is that everybody else is grounded in reality. Like it's very easy to say, sure, we want to open up our border and do this, and this is very, very nice. Oh, we don't want any police. We don't want any police until actually the criminals start coming for us. I think the difference here is those of us that are rooted in some kind of reality, some kind of logic, we want to make sure that people are protected. And that includes, for example, our kids. I want to show you some really incredible, compelling video that is just out. And it's of some kids in Pennsylvania that have said, you know what? We're done. We don't want the boys using the girls' room. Thank you very much. And they have every right. I mean, come on. This is so beyond the beyond, right? I mean, the idea that somehow you feel like a girl today and you get to use the ladies' room, it's not right and it's not fair to the girls. I mean, you're trying to protect this 0.01%. Instead of building them their own multi-gender restroom, you have to make a point of letting them, the boys, use the girls' room because they feel like girls or they identify as girls today. Well, kids now are saying, forget about this. Watch this video. It's really great. All of these kids walking on the line. Look at this. They're holding up signs. They've had. Way to go, kids. You know, I mean, at some point, don't they matter? Don't their opinions matter? Maybe take a vote. Why is it that every girl has to deal with guys coming into the restroom? Because of a political agenda that these lefties and extremists are trying to push. I said years ago, you know, I don't think this is much of a story. I remember my old producer, my phone boss, actually, she never talked about this the other day. She's like, remember when? And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, why are we doing this story? She brought it to me. Like, I mean, this can't have legs. I mean, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. I mean, I don't think this is fair. My whole point was like, what about girls? We're the feminists. Like, why can't you stand up for young women? But I kept saying, this can't possibly matter because it's such a small fragment of the population. But when that small fragment of the population takes over and becomes effectively a bullying machine, and suddenly you're transphobic if you don't want to use the restroom with the people that may be identifying as a girl on a given day, suddenly you're the girl being put in the bad spot. I mean, I really think that there's kind of a war on women going on female athletes, on young women that want to have some boundaries, that they're telling you can't and that you're transphobic if you dare to say, I don't think this is right. Or you're better yet, Karen, that's their whole thing too, you know.
Yeah, you don't say, you know, it's a violation of Title IX. And if you have that problem, that's what you need to look under. Case law and whatnot. Title IX. Violations and suing whatever institution that's breaking Title IX laws. Welcome.
Any girl who speaks up is being marginalized. They've done this to men, for sure, the whole mansplaining thing, etc. And now they're doing it to women in an attempt to totally destroy and to divide and to dissect our society, to get us into the most marginalized group, and to then allow those super marginalized groups to have all the power. Well, these kids, they get it. They know what's right and what's wrong. They know they have a voice, which is why they're out there marching. I'm betting anything. You're going to see more of this, ladies and gentlemen. More of this, because they matter too. So congratulations to them. I hope they get the situation rectified there. And I think that we need more young people to say, well, I'm going to stand up. I'm going to stand up to this. I'm not going to swim in the pool with the person who suddenly feels female. Like I'm just, nothing to get, by the way, I've worked in the performing arts my whole life. Like I know a lot of very diverse people and adore them. So this has nothing to do with being discriminatory or not empathetic or anything like that. I'm just saying what's fair, okay? You were born with a different set of, hormones, including testosterone, which helps to build more muscle. And so if I were the girls, I'd say, you know what? Hey, see ya. I'm not racing today. I don't need that. Just like those girls can say. Have another bathroom. Have another swimming pool. Anyway, it is great to see you all. Thank you again. Reminder, please make sure that you subscribe. Very good to see you. Thank you again. I love seeing all of Jake. Welcome back, Jake72. Trish Regan for Fed Chair. Chuck, thank you. You know what? I wouldn't wish that job on anyone either, but all it takes is common sense. Common sense. I kept saying that at the time. I'm like, how does Jerome Powell?
Grammarly's top 3 tips on starting an essay.
Let's say you're struggling to put pen to paper on an upcoming essay.
first time experience with catnip. Oh my. Oh. Oh my goodness. Messy. Love it.
Hey guys, so after doing a little bit of research, I came across some information that answered my question, why so many of my cats had little to no effect on catnip. That is because up to 50% of cats do not have effect on catnip. That is, if the source is telling the truth. But it turns out cats actually have a gene that is responsible for the effect they have on coming across catnip, and this gene is what so many, up to 50% they say, lack. Which I had no idea about, so I just thought this information might pique the interest of my fellow cat owners, who might have cats that have never tried catnip before. So let me know, are your cats part of the group that does or doesn't have this gene?
About half and a half. I have two that really like it, and I have two that don't respond to it at all. So, pretties, that's it for the playlist, and I'm going to wrap up episode 11 now, and I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, it's been quite a evening for me. Haven't felt good in some ways, and other ways have been just soldiering my way through, like with this cup of soup here. So hopefully I'll be able to get that finished, and I hope you were able to enjoy episode 11 of Wickedshizuku's Thoughts on News. If you liked, please like, subscribe, and share, and let's get the word around. So we shall see you next time. Have a good evening.